Hello aspirants, welcome to La Excellence. Welcome to the session on Current Affairs for Beginners. In this session, I am going to tell you about the terms, concepts, schemes and institutions that appeared in today's newspaper, that is 10th July 2018. Let me give you answers for yesterday's questions. The first question is, National Commission on Farmers has recommended to consider A2 as the cost of production to calculate MSP. This was wrong statement because National Commission on Farmers headed by M.S. Swaminathan has recommended to consider C2 as the cost of production to calculate MSP instead of this A2. So this is a wrong statement. And the second statement is MSP is recommended by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs to CACP. This is also a wrong statement because this is recommended by CACP, that is Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices, to this Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. That is, minimum support price is recommended by CACP to CECA. So both the statements are wrong and the answer is D, none. The second question is, which of the following is correct with respect to formalin? The first statement is, it is an aqueous solution of methanol, or the other name is formaldehyde. It is an aqueous solution of formaldehyde or methanol. So the statement is correct and it acts as a preservative. This statement is also correct. So the answer is A, 1 and 2. The first article is, Supreme Court says it is ready to go live. Center moots a TV channel. In this, we have a concept called live streaming of court proceedings. Let us see what is this live streaming of court proceedings and what are the advantages of it and what are the disadvantages of it and what court said about it and what government said about it. In this article, Supreme Court said that the proceedings in the court can go for live streaming. That is, the people outside the court can see from their homes this live streaming, what is happening in this court, what are the proceedings happening, how the case is, how the lawyers are arguing, everything we can see from home through live. That is live streaming of court proceedings. And court said this proceedings can go for live streaming. And it also said this is an extension of open court system. We should know what is this open court system. This is a system where public can walk into the court and watch the proceedings that are happening in the court. That is, if a case is going on in the court and you are a public, that is maybe citizen or a non-citizen or a resident, that you want to see this court proceedings but still you are not in the case, you can see this proceedings. This system is called open court system, and the court said already you have this provision, and it said this live streaming is the extension of this open court system. And what government said? Government said for this live streaming you can have a separate channel. Like for parliamentary proceedings, we have in Lok Sabha, we have Lok Sabha channel. And in Rajya Sabha, we have Rajya Sabha channel. Apart from all the programs, you can see the proceedings that is, if a bill is passed or the arguments of the bill, anything that is happening in the Lok Sabha, you can see in this channel, and anything happening in this Rajya Sabha, you can see in this Rajya Sabha TV. Like that, government is saying you can go for separate channel for court proceedings that have to be go on live. And here, please note, in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, you'll have specific programs that are useful for UPSC, Prelims plus Main. And you have one program called Big Picture, that is the current topic or the current issue that is coming from 3 to 4 days are discussed in this debate. Try to see programs like this and you can improve your perspectives and some points that can be useful in your UPSC mains. And let us come to the topic and let us see what are the advantages of this live streaming of court proceedings and what are the disadvantages of this live streaming of court proceedings. First, let us see advantages of live streaming of court proceedings. It can help litigants, that is, who file the petitions, follow their proceedings in their case, and it can check their lawyer's performance and not presenting there if they are person from Kerala or Tamil Nadu. If for one day hearing also, they have to go to New Delhi and continue their proceedings. But now this live streaming may help us, and they need not to come to New Delhi for this hearing, and they can stay at their respective places and can see the case through this live streaming. And it also brings the advancement or the improvement in the rule of law and transparency and access to justice. Let us see in detail what is this rule of law. You have three components in rule of law. That is, the first component is no man can be punished except for a breach of law. That is, if anyone contravened the law or went against the law, then only they should be punished. This is rule of law, first element. And the second element is equality before law. Every person, whether they are rich or whether they are poor, whether they are high or low, whether they are officials or a non-official, whether they are citizen or a non-citizen, except in some cases, everyone are equal before law. And the third one is this rule of law gives utmost priority to the individual rights, and these individual rights results in constitution. They frame through this individual rights, they frame the constitution. These three are the components of rule of law, and in our constitution we incorporated the first two, that is, no man can be punished except for a breach of law and equality before law. We incorporated these two things of the rule of law proposed by Dicey. We took these two statements or these two provisions into our constitution, and this live streaming of court proceedings may help improve or may help protect this rule of law. And the second thing is it can improve transparency. What is transparency? Let us see that also in detail. We have three things or three elements in transparency also. The first thing is openness. And the second thing is communication. And the third thing is accountability. Now let us see this through this live streaming, the proceedings are open to everyone and it will communicate what is happening there in the court to every person, and thus it is accountable to every person. If any person can ask if there is anything wrong going on there. So like that, it is bringing transparency to the system through this live streaming of court proceedings. That is, it can bring rule of law, that is, it can protect rule of law much better, and it may bring transparency. And the third thing is it can give justice, access to justice through this live streaming. And let us see what are the disadvantages of this live streaming of court proceedings, or what are the problems that are there through this live streaming. The first problem is filtering of cases, whether every case should be live streamed or certain cases should be live streamed. Like suppose there are some cases like related to national security. If we expose that case through this live streaming, there may be threat to national security. How this case is related to, that is, how if this case is exposed to live streaming, that may cause threat to our national security. How we can categorize that? Or there are some cases like matrimonial disputes, some rape cases, whether this should be live streamed or not. Because this may raise the question of right to privacy and right to individual dignity. That is, right to human dignity. These are fundamental rights. And this live streaming in these cases may raise the question, this right to privacy and right to human dignity. So we should decide whether which these cases should be live streamed or not. That is, there is a problem in deciding these things. And the second thing is, there are some broadcasting issues, like to whom this broadcasting work should be given, whether through any bid or to some persons, how to select these persons and what are the procedures of selecting. All these are the issues or the problems with this live streaming of court proceedings. And the second articles are IISc and IITD chosen for special grants, and center picks IISc or IITD for special grants. Here we should concentrate on two terms. The first one is institutions of eminence, and the second one is NIRF rankings. Let us see the first one, institutions of eminence. Before this, let us see the contest. In this contest, government has approved 6 higher education institutions with this institutions of eminence status. Let us see what is that status and what are the advantages that the universities get if they attain this status. This is a special status given to a university by the government, and through this some special provisions are allocated to this universities, like it will permit to admit 30% of the foreign students with no restrictions on fees charged on them. That is, this university which got this status can have 30% of the foreign students, and it can have fee structure, its own fee structure, and it can hire foreign faculty up to 25%, and it can offer online courses up to 20% of its total programs, and it will have full powers to have its own curriculum or its own syllabus, and it will have flexibility of the hours, how many hours it to take and how many years to complete a degree, and all the flexibility it has to decide how many hours to teach and how many years to complete the degree, and it will be free from all the regulations from AICTE, that is All India Council for Technical Education, UGC, Universal Grants Commission, and Higher Education Commission of India. These three are the regulators which regulate the higher education systems in India. But if a university got this status, then that university is free from the regulations made by these 3 higher education regulating institutions. These are the some of the special provisions universities will get if it was granted by this status. And the second one is NIRF rankings, that is National Institutional Ranking Framework rankings. To whom these rankings are given? These rankings are given to the institutions of higher education in India. And how these rankings are given? Before constituting this, they have constituted core committee, and it has given certain guidelines, and based on that guidelines, this National Institution Ranking Framework was evolved. And let us see how this ranking is done. Firstly, they will categorize some institutions, like they will categorize universities, colleges, engineering institutions, pharmaceutical institutions, and management institutions differently. And again, in every institution, they will check 5 parameters. The first one is teaching, learning, and resource parameter. And the second one is research, professional practice, and collaborative performance. And the third one is graduational outcome. And fourth one is outreach and inclusivity. And the fifth one is perception. Based on these 5 parameters, the universities are ranked. And again, in universities, there are 2 categories, Category A and Category B. This core committee has divided the universities again into this category A and B. The first category, these are of national importance, that is universities, deemed universities, state universities, or any universities formed through any act of parliament or any private and autonomous institutions will come under this category. And category B, there are institutions, some institutions that are affiliated institutions, and which institutions that doesn't enjoy full academic autonomy, those institutions are categorized into category B. So in every, like in this category of universities, you'll have category A and category B. And for category A institutions, you'll have 5 parameters, that is these 5 parameters they will check. And for category B, another 5 parameters, that is these 5 parameters they will check again. And based on this, they will give the rankings, and these rankings are called as NIRF rankings. And the next article is the measure of tests. In this article, we just have to see this Ashok Mishra committee, and this committee deals with what? For prelims perspective, we should know this committee. This committee recommends major changes in the entrance examination structure for the institutions, that is entrance examinations for higher education institutions, that is either +1 or +2 or intermediate in some areas we call. From this, we enter into higher educational institutions, that is either medical colleges or engineering institutions or any other higher education institutions. And to enter here, we need to write a test and to qualify it. And this committee has recommended major changes in this entrance examination structure, and it also said set up a national testing services to conduct this entrance examinations for higher educations. And it also said to conduct one online aptitude test, and not once in a year. These tests are conducted once in a year, but it asked to conduct 2 or 3 times in a year. And this committee also said to regulate the coaching industries, that is we have exams like JEE, NEET. And to this, or to qualify this examinations, we have lot of coaching industries developed. And he recommended to regulate this coaching industries. And he also said IIT should develop a system for developing mock JEE examinations, which help students prepare for the JEE significantly, and they can move from this coaching institutions if they have mock JEE examinations conducted by IIT itself. And it also recommended that board marks shall not be counted, that is we have this +1 +2 marks, and he said this should not be counted in giving ranks to this after this test. Try to answer today's questions. The first question is, which of the following statements are true about rule of law? Absence of arbitrary law, equality before law, equal protection of law, or primacy of the rights of individual? Try to select the correct answer. And the second question is, which committee has recommended major changes in IIT entrance exam? Ashok Mishra committee, or Rameshwar committee, or Rajesh Arora committee, or Alok Nazir committee? Thank you.